Do you have that one special place that you look forward to getting back to every single year? A place that brings you peace, a place that's secluded. It may not be a river, but it's somewhere out in nature. Well, this is that place for me, and it's a place that I can count on just losing myself while I'm there. The views here are second to none, and the place is just downright fishy. Dude, you really drove all this way to just take a nap in the woods?
The fish are here. The fish are here.
All right, you heard the river. Let's go fishing.
All right, y'all, welcome out. That was a quick start to the day. This is why I love this place. This is an exciting early example of evidence that this river is just straight up fishy. There are so many fish here. What makes this different than other pieces of river? What makes this different than other rivers in general? This place is an absolute gold mine, and I mean that in the best way possible. This kind of gold. All right, welcome river lovers, lake dwellers, everyone in between, people who don't even fish. Welcome out to a beautiful stretch of river up here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Words cannot describe how much I love this place. But today we're gonna do some fun things. Today we are just gonna talk about what makes this section of river so darn fishy. And it's not just bass. This place has muskie, this place has sturgeon, it's got panfish, it's got a mix of everything. And that's one reason that I absolutely love it. The habitat here is so varied. It is such a beautiful river. It is untouched. But for now, we're just gonna hit a couple spots on this river and get a feel for what's going on. I'm primarily targeting smallmouth bass. This place is so bassy. If you couldn't already tell that, then, well, you're in for a treat today. But hopefully we can get some other species to go because this time of year, just about everything is up in the river and just about everything is eating. Today I'm starting off throwing a little swim bait. I have this on a spot remover jig head, and this is I believe a 3-inch X-Zone swammer. This is one of my favorite swim baits in the spring. Come along, let's go catch them. That is a pretty one. Some black markings on it. Still not huge. We're gonna find some big ones, but we're gonna go back up to that spot and talk about what's happening and why I was parked right there and what I was doing. See you later, bud. Pay attention to the water surface right there, and then pay attention to it right here. What's the difference? We definitely see a lot more disturbance over there along the left side. And what that is, that's a shallow shelf that comes up to maybe just a few inches deep. So really that's like the tops of little rocks on the bottom that the water's going over, and you can clearly see that. But right here, we have a lot of current. And so as the shape of the river changes and it gets more shallow over there, a lot of the current is actually pushing down right here in the deeper spot. And up there, if I'm looking at my graph, I can get to a certain point where there's about 3.5 to 4 feet of depth, and then just to my left there's 2, and then there's that shallow shelf. So it's right on a transition, and look what it's behind. We're right behind an island that is blocking some current that would otherwise be ripping over it if there was no island there. So you can see that there's a current seam up there. That current seam juts out to the right just a little bit. It's coming down towards me. That's gonna be the deeper water. That's where that current has actually worn away the bottom, and that's where there's a little more depth. So I'm looking at those transitions, and that fish again was in the protected water that is not exposed completely to the current. He wants to be close to the current because he wants to jump out and get bait that comes by just like mine was. That felt big. Oh yeah, that's a big one. Really big one. Stay on. Stay on. Oh yeah. There we go. There's a jerkbait eater. That right there is what we came for, guys. It's a nice pre-spawn smallmouth. Got it on a jerkbait. We're in a transitional period, so the fish could be doing a lot of things. I think there are some fish moving up into the slack to get ready to spawn. This one was still feeding, and these are the ones we're trying to find. Look at that belly. She's gonna move up shallow, I'm sure, here soon and do her thing, but we got her before that, and it's a little more satisfying that way. There's another one. Small one. Quick release. Oh man. This wind is something else. I was gonna say, that don't feel like a bass. Mr. Pike. All right, there's Mr. Pike. 2 species. Big one. Whew. Oh no. Camera angle. All right, so this is a little uncommon. This is actually a male fish, and I can tell because when you apply pressure here, we've got liquid coming out. This is normally the fish that is making the bed and generally guarding it. The female comes up, lays her egg, does this thing. The male usually sticks around. The female is transitory as far as I know, but Man, it's very strange. This fish is definitely ready to spawn, but it was in a pre-spawn feeding location. And we're gonna talk about this location and the last location and what makes them really pre-spawn areas versus a spawning area. We're gonna kind of compare and contrast the two. So I actually think on this trip, we're gonna find fish doing both. My intention is to catch pre-spawners, and then we'll go through and we'll look at some spawning habitat for you guys. Let's get this guy back in. All right, so this is what I would call a classic example of a pre-spawn setup. We have some rocks up there that are breaking the current, and then over here to my left, this is reduced or a no flow area. So right where I am right now, if I were to kill my motor, I would slowly float back because the current is being redirected by that top rock up there, and it's being pushed out a little further into the channel, and that's where I am, and I'm moving back much more quickly. However, if I go over here to the left, it's gonna take me a lot less effort to stay put. Same thing for a fish. So if a fish is positioned over here to the left, they are not expending nearly as much energy as they would be if they were over to the right. And so as we move up a little further, there is even more depth. Directly behind this current break up here, there's an area that's kind of carved out in terms of depth. So it's a little bit deeper directly behind those rocks. And those are really good ambush positions because what's the river doing around that rock? The current is bringing everything that is in it down past that rock. So because we have that current break up here and some depth, this is gonna be an area where fish congregate, not just bass, but the fish that they like to eat. Sometimes bait will push up into these shallow slack areas or these areas with reduced flow, and that's where they'll hang out. And the bass are gonna be there also taking advantage of that opportunity with the bait around. This spot has a lot of depth. There's really not great spawning habitat here. Some fish will spawn deeper, but most of them are gonna be in the 1 to 3 to 4 foot range, not down at the bottom in 6 feet. But it is possible. Fish do spawn deep. I just don't think that's what this fish was doing. So let's go over to the other side of the river here where I caught that other 20-incher and talk about what draws fish to that location. All right, trying to get out of the wind for you guys, but similar to the last spot, this spot does not have the right type of rock to be spawning habitat. So this is gonna be an area that I'm primarily looking for pre-spawners. And it's also got just more current in general than some of the spots we're probably gonna find some spawning fish in. There is some areas over here to the right. It's real shallow, that real shallow rock. Fish will push up in there, but they're not doing it to spawn. It's similar to what I mentioned back there. It's an area where they're not expending a whole lot of energy, but the fish that are actively feeding tend to be a little bit further out off the bank. And what's actually happening is that there's a nice transition into some deep water, some consistently 5 to 6 foot deep water out here to my left. And then right here where I'm sitting, it's only about 3 feet deep. And then to my right, it goes up to about 2, and then obviously up to the shore. So sometimes they're in that shallow stuff, taking a little break. Other fish will be there, similar to the last spot, you know, bait fish and whatnot. But a lot of the feeding fish I find are kind of on the transition between the faster moving water over here to my left and then the slower moving water. It makes a nice scene. I think I just got snagged on this tree earlier. And that is another quality smallmouth there. Although this one is in a very different location. This one was probably not a pre-spawner. So if we look at the water that I caught it in, I don't know if you guys got a great view as I was casting, it was over here to the left. So we'll get this one back in. That's a pretty one. My goodness. Probably about 19 inches. Measure it real quick and get it back, and then let's go take a look at the spot over here. So one of the things that makes this section of river so unique is the fact that we've got so many small little islands. We've got big islands, we've got medium-sized islands, we've got islands that only exist at certain water levels. And what that does is it creates a whole lot of current features. And by current feature, I just mean changes in the current. So we know that directly behind this island at this water level, there is little to no current at all. And these are gonna be spots where fish are not setting up to feed at this time of year. Instead, they're setting up here to spawn. And so I caught one here earlier this morning that was hugging the current seam. That was a feeding fish. However, this fish over here to my left, that was not a feeding fish because it was going to spawn in this warm, slack water. So this is even south facing. It's protected from the north. So those cold winds coming out of the north, it's fairly protected from. We've got sun all day and we've got slack water. So this is just a really good example of protected water that you're most likely to find spawning fish in. So if we're looking for spawning fish, this is what we're looking for. If we're looking for pre-spawn fish, this is not generally the type of area we want to focus on. We want to look at current features, but in a different way. We're not looking for slack, we're looking for those changes from the faster to the slower, not necessarily slack. And we're also paying a lot of attention to the bottom composition, what kind of substrate the river has in that area. Oh, that's a giant. That is a tank. It's a big smallmouth. It's a big, beautiful smallmouth. Man, that one about ripped the rod out of my hand. Oh, another species. That's a nice walleye. I'm just gonna lift you up. Pretty solid little walleye there. Believe it or not, I've only ever caught one other walleye, and it was super tiny, but it was over on the other side of this. And it just goes to show the great diversity of this place. There's just such good water of different kinds all around. Deep, fast, slow, shallow, whatever it may be. So we're gonna keep looking for whatever's living in this stuff. spooked, too musky. There goes another one. No. There's a bunch of them up here. Big one. Is it a fish? Pulling? It's pulling. It's a walleye. Slamming the walleye today. He's as golden as can be in this sunlight. Another good eater. Maybe I should keep this one. It's the end of the day. I think I'm going to. You're mine, buddy.